After the dust settled following World War II, a strange migration began to unfold. Thousands of former Nazis and wartime collaborators hailing from various corners of Europe, France, Croatia, Belgium, and beyond found themselves on a quest for a new sanctuary. Their destination of choice? South America, a continent seemingly distant enough from the prying eyes of the Nuremberg trials. While it may sound like the stuff of Second World War conspiracy theories, some have even dared to suggest that Adolf Hitler himself made a daring escape to Argentina, where he intended to live out the remainder of his life in exile alongside his companion Eva Braun. So, why did certain South American nations become safe harbors for these controversial figures? And what intriguing post-war lives did some of these infamous individuals lead? Let's find out. As World War II wrapped up in Europe, Germany was left in turmoil. The Nazi regime, responsible for terrible atrocities and genocide, had crumbled, and Germany was left to grapple with its dark past. In the midst of this chaos, something unusual happened. A wave of Germans began leaving their homeland. But why? A major reason behind this mass emigration was the deep fear many Germans felt of facing punishment for their roles in the Nazi regime. The Allies were determined to hold those responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity accountable through the Nuremberg trials. This was bad news for high-ranking Nazi officials who had little chance of escaping justice in post-war Europe. However, South America was a different story altogether. Countries like Argentina, Brazil, and Chile had a history of welcoming German immigrants. Their governments held fewer grudges against the Germans, and some authoritarian regimes in these nations even sympathized with Nazi beliefs. This made them more than willing to offer refuge to former Nazi officials and their supporters. Adding to this was the valuable expertise that German immigrants brought with them. They excelled in fields like administration, the military, construction, and corporate management, skills that were in high demand as South American nations underwent rapid economic growth and industrialization. For those trying to escape the devastation left by the war, immigration to South America seemed like an attractive option. However, going through official immigration channels was often too risky for those trying to avoid arrest. So, many turned to secret escape networks known as rat lines. These networks were set up by various organizations and individuals sympathetic to the Nazi cause. What's astonishing is that some members of British and American intelligence agencies were part of these networks. They saw an opportunity to recruit former Nazi officials and intelligence agents with expertise in countering communism during the impending Cold War against the Soviet Union. Starting in 1947, the U.S. Counterintelligence Corps actively recruited former SS members and helped them escape Europe through Italy. This operation heavily relied on the assistance of sympathetic members of the Catholic Church, who provided safe havens in monasteries and forged fake travel documents for the fleeing Nazis. Other organizations, run by various neo-fascist and nationalist groups like the Odessa Network, also played significant roles in aiding war criminals' escape. However, these operations came at a hefty cost, requiring not only shelter and food, but also the creation of fake documents, bribes to officials, and the organization of overseas travel. To finance these operations, valuable items like gold bars, diamonds, artwork, and rare books looted from museums and private collections across Europe were used. Many of these treasures were hidden away in churches and monasteries along the escape routes in Italy, Austria, Germany, and Spain, hidden from prying eyes. Rumors of Nazi officials fleeing to South America began to circulate almost immediately after the war ended. One of the most famous theories was propagated by Joseph Stalin himself, who, for a time, believed that Adolf Hitler had escaped to Argentina through Spain. However, as former Soviet archives were opened and forensic evidence improved, mainstream historians increasingly discredited such theories. Nonetheless, other high-ranking Nazi officials like Adolf Eichmann, Joseph Mengele, and Klaus Barbie did successfully escape. Joseph Mengele, the infamous SS physician known for conducting cruel medical experiments on prisoners at Auschwitz concentration camp, similarly escaped to Argentina. He assumed the identity of Helmut Greger and continued to work in an unlicensed medical practice. Another infamous figure was Klaus Barbie, a high-ranking Gestapo officer known as the Butcher of Lyon. His His name was synonymous with brutality as he gained infamy for his role in torturing and deporting French resistance fighters and Jews during the war. After initially struggling to make a living on the black market in Germany, Barbie's life took an astonishing turn. He was recruited by the U.S. Army Counterintelligence Corps, only to escape to Argentina in 1951. There, he found a new life. The Bolivian government would eventually hire Barbie as a security advisor. However, his dark past finally caught up with him as he was extradited to France in 1983. There, he faced justice, standing trial for war crimes and ultimately dying in prison in 1991. Among South American countries, Argentina, under the leadership of President Juan Perón, actively sought to recruit German fugitives. Perón's intelligence agency, the SIDE, played a crucial role in this endeavor. The authoritarian Perón sympathized with fascist ideology and saw the potential value in the skills of former Nazi officials for Argentina's industrial and technological development. Before the war, neighboring Brazil, led by President Getúlio Vargas, shared a similar desire to utilize German expertise in technology to modernize its economy and infrastructure. However, after the war, Vargas's attitude toward German immigrants underwent a dramatic shift. Brazil had been actively involved in the war on the side of the Allies, and suspicions of war criminals, or those merely sympathetic to the Axis powers, led to the deportation of some from the country. One of these individuals, known as Ricardo Clement, lived a seemingly ordinary life in Argentina. On May 11, 1960, he returned home after a shift at a Mercedes-Benz automotive plant. Unbeknownst to him, this evening would mark a dramatic turn in his life. Lightning flashed across the Argentine skies as he walked past a black Buick limousine. Suddenly, Clement was seized by two men and dragged into the vehicle. These men were Israeli Secret Service agents, and Ricardo Clement was none other than Adolf Eichmann, the man responsible for orchestrating the transport of European Jews to concentration camps. Eichmann's abduction marked a high-stakes game of deception emblematic of the covert operations that had allowed many former Nazis to find refuge in South America. However, he was just one of a substantial number. According to German prosecutors, as many as 9,000 Nazi officers and collaborators from various countries escaped to South American nations. Brazil welcomed between 1,500 and 2,000 Nazi war criminals, while around 500 to 1,000 settled in Chile. The largest contingent, up to 5,000 individuals, found their way to Argentina. Argentina's role in this chapter of history was particularly noteworthy. Thanks to its sizable German immigrant population and long-standing ties with Germany, Argentina maintained close relations with the country during World War II and remained officially neutral for much of the conflict. However, in the post-war years, President Juan Perón secretly directed diplomats and intelligence officers to establish escape routes, known as rat lines, through ports in Spain and Italy. These covert networks smuggled thousands of former SS officers and Nazi party members out of Europe. Juan Perón's fascination with fascist ideologies, particularly those of Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler, had developed during his time as a military attaché in Italy in the early years of World War II. He saw the potential of recruiting Nazis possessing military, scientific, and technical expertise to assist Argentina, a strategy reminiscent of the US and the Soviet Union, both of which had sought the talents of former Nazi scientists during the Cold War. In 1946, the Perón government initiated secret negotiations through Argentine Cardinal Antonio Caggiano to receive Nazi collaborators from France who were potentially facing war crimes prosecution. As a result, French war criminals carrying passports issued by the International Red Cross stamped with Argentine tourist visas began crossing the Atlantic Ocean that spring. Interestingly, the Vatican unintentionally became a part of this saga. In their efforts to help Catholic refugees after World War II, some Vatican officials unknowingly assisted Nazi war criminals. Bishop Alois Hudal, who admired Hitler, admitted to aiding them. He provided false Vatican documents used to get passports from the International Red Cross. Hudal also assisted a Franciscan monk in Genoa, Italy, who supplied Adolf Eichmann with an Argentine visa and signed an application for his falsified Red Cross passport. In fact, the German legal team that examined South American files in 2012 revealed that the majority of Nazis who entered the continent did so using forged Red Cross passports, including around 800 SS members traveling to Argentina. However, not all Nazis met justice. Many who escaped to South America lived out their lives in impunity. SS Colonel Walter Roff, the creator of mobile gas chambers responsible for at least 100,000 deaths, passed away in Chile in 1984. Edward Roschmann, infamously known as the Butcher of Riga, died in Paraguay in 1977. Gustav Wagner, an SS officer known as the Beast, died in Brazil in 1980 after Brazil's Supreme Federal Court refused to extradite him to Germany due to inaccuracies in the paperwork. So, what do you think was the hidden motivation behind sheltering these Nazi fugitives in South America? Please share your insights and thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more compelling episodes of military history. Together, let's continue to learn.